My friend Tim, who's an electrician, every time he hears that I'm doing electrical stuff, he reminds me, electrical is not a hobby. I don't know what the big deal is. It's really no harder than setting up a DVD player.
Honey, watch out!
Well, hey everyone. It's been a while since I've given you an update on our building project. And since my last video, when I told you that Lori and I have been doing a lot of reevaluation and contemplation about our next chapter of life. And I guess I kind of left you hanging with that because a lot of people have been asking for an update on our plans and our project. They want to know if we're going to finish what we started. Have we decided not to build a new house? Are we going to sell it all? What are we going to do? So, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do. We might put off building the new house for about a year. But at this point in time, we are committed to finish what we started. So that's what we've been doing. We've been pecking away at the project little by little and have gotten a lot accomplished. We're both really proud of the fact that from the footing all the way up to the ridge cap, we have done it ourselves. Not one single nail has been pounded by anyone else except the garage door guy. Because like I said before, that was too many nuts and bolts for this guy. I'd rather be making sawdust than turning wrenches, so I hired somebody for that. But we've made a lot of sawdust, and I'll show you what we have accomplished. On rainy days, we worked inside, running wires and hanging insulation and drywall. And here I'm installing the rafter vent that I've so often talked about. I've done so because venting the roof is something that shouldn't be overlooked. And the itchy stuff, yeah, we handled plenty of it. For the walls, we use fiberglass and rock wool in the roof. And if you're wondering where the bubble foil is, well, you'll wonder no more. Yeah! Get it done. See, I'm running these collar ties across here, and I am cutting them to fit. I actually glue them and then nail them, and they'll get more nails in them as I go along. In most cases, in fact on all the jobs I've ever worked on, they don't cut them like that, they just nail them to the sides. And that works. Since I'm going to be finishing this, I prefer to have all of my studding in one line. That way later on, when I am sheetrocking or doing the interior, my layout doesn't change. Because if this was scabbed to the side, the layout would move over. And then you're missing screw holes, and then you got to adjust. And doing it this way, it just makes it easier for me in the long run. You saw earlier in the project we had put a vent strip in the eave, the soffit vent. That allows air to be drawn up into the roof system. And any heat loss or heat generated by the sun, you know how attics are usually hotter than the rest of the house? All of that hot air that is trapped beneath the roof sheathing has a way to escape. It's going to create like a vacuum effect. Now heat will come up and go out the ridge vent. We're also going to have a working cupola, and that will really allow the heat to escape. So the heat that we generate with the wood stove or the gas heater will be trapped in here. Good insulation value, but also good venting. So in the summer, it should stay fairly cool up here. So there's the rafter vent running from eave to ridge. We have unfaced rock wool insulation, and then the bubble foil will act as an insulating vapor barrier. Then there's going to be strapping going perpendicular to the rafters here, 16 on center, then the drywall. That 3/4 inch airspace between the drywall and the bubble foil will act as an insulation in itself. This will reflect heat back into the building. The other side is reflective, and that will reflect any heat absorbed by the roof from the sun back upward. And it should stay cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Since I planned to put a wood stove in the corner, I framed out a spot for it and compacted the gravel within. I mixed up a bunch of concrete the hard way and poured a pad for the wood stove to sit on. This part of the structure has a gravel floor, and I'm using this tarp as a vapor barrier to cover it. This is the same tarp that we covered the structure with when we were building it last winter. When it was all dried in, Lori cut the tarp free and we saved it for this purpose. That was good planning, even if I do say so myself. It's the same size upstairs as it is down here. My plan was to cover the tarp with 3/4 inch thick rubber mats instead of pouring a floor. If the plan doesn't work out, I can always pour a floor later on. But so far, the rubber mats are working out better than we thought they would. With the floor and the hearth pad all done, it's time to install the chimney. So we did. I'll put a link to the chimney pipe and the tools that I use in the description below. Since I won't be running the greenhouse through the winter, I decided to borrow the wood stove from it. It's a good old Alpiner, and we'll make good use of it. We're inching our way through the project and inching this stove over to the new location. Now, I've lived off-grid and without modern conveniences for most of my adult life, and I love it. But this building will be used for business, where power and water is required. Try getting a food processing license in the state of New Hampshire without it. When the well drillers were finished with their job, it was our job to trench in and under our structure to bring the water to the pressure tank inside. Now, I'll admit, running water is a novelty that we haven't had in years. Mama likes it. There's no doubt about that. Now, before we could install the metal roof, we needed to trim the place out. We decided on a double fascia in Ponderosa green, and we're not sorry for the choices that we made. We installed the trim up to the level where the metal roofing will sit, so I left pockets for the purlins to drop into. This helped a lot in the process of installing them. And when the roof was ready to go, we got it going on. Since the lower portion has a shallow pitch and we'll be walking on it a lot as we finish the project, we built this section without purlins. We screwed the metal roofing directly to the 5/8 plywood beneath with an ice and water shield sandwiched between them. This is the base for the cupola. 45-degree for the other pitch on the other side, sitting over the dormer. Hopefully it fits. I've got to have this in place because we're putting the metal roof on, and I've got a flash all the way around this. And plus, once I set it, I'm going to cut a hole in the roof because the cupola is going to be an actual working cupola. It's going to vent the roof. So I'm going to cut a hole and then put hardware cloth over the hole so no critters ever could get in there. And adding this to the project is adding a tremendous amount of extra work, a lot of complication to the project. It's going to hold things up, but I don't want to cheat myself out of it. I really want this on the roof. I want the look. And it's like I said, it's going to be venting. So it's something I want, and I don't want to cheat myself out of it by avoiding the extra workload. So we're going to put in a cupola. I should have filmed this before I put this hardware cloth on here, but I cut the hole in the roof here for the cupola. And you see where the rafter vents are. That goes all the way down to the eave, where the eave vent is, which is letting air in above the insulation that's in the roof here. And then there's a little flat ceiling here. The insulation is down there. And this will allow this whole section of roof to vent. It will suck cold air out of the soffit vents and come right up, out. The whole roof can vent right here. It looks good, just like it was made for it.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great.
The steep side of the roof was a bit more intimidating to start with. Mama had no intention of walking the purlins on a 45-degree slope, and I can't blame her for that. But once we got a system going, everything went well after that. From footings to ridge cap, we worked as a team and got her done.
Frankie and the boss out walking in the woods, living life happy and free. Tracks in the snow everywhere they go. There's a porky way up in that tree. A beaver built a pond where they have some fun, taking life a day at a time. Best friends until the end. Frankie and the boss. Frankie and the boss. Frankie and the boss.